Good afternoon. It's Joyful Christian Hermit. My sincere apologies for not being up to par lately with my videos. I've been worn out, been exhausted, and trying to do more manual labor than what my body is really up for doing, pain-wise. But I finally gave in and decided to get on top of the pain, keep going, but it's hard. Life is hard, but God keeps providing. So He's provided me with means to stay on top of the pain, and I need to be responsible and do what it takes to stay on top of it. And it isn't much extra, but my doctor had given me, it's been 2 years ago. No, just about 2 years ago. And I, didn't want to take what he gave me. So I finally have to, or I just get too drained, totally drained of impetus and even a will. My will becomes distorted by pain. Everything becomes pain and is overwhelming pain. So I consider what God provides through caring people. And I finally today called and gave the information on my pump, the serial number and all that on my pain pump. They needed that before they could schedule the MRIs of my spine. But it was 4 weeks ago today that I saw the neurosurgeon's PA who said we need to get these of your neck and your mid back. And then you need to meet with the neurosurgeon. And I tell you, I just didn't want to deal with it. 4 weeks. I did not call. Well, they called me to set it up, but they needed this information on my pump. And I didn't have it at the time. It was in another location. I keep it out in my truck so that if I'm in an accident, they need to have that information about my pump. EMS would, or things if I were injured. So anyway, or if anything happened, if I were out, I need to have that crucial information of my pump. So, and I need it for any scans because it's metal in the body. And then right after, I have to get to the pain doctors and have them make sure it's working and all of that. So I did not want to deal with pain in my body. I didn't want to deal with my spine. I know it's not going to be a good MRI because I can't stand long and I'm in excruciating pain, even with pain meds. So it gets overwhelming at times, and the mess I got myself into by I would try doing work. This has been over a couple of years. My place has been getting worse and worse with tools and materials and clutter, even paper. You know the amount of paper we get of this and that we're supposed to file and keep. And I would do a little work. I would be too exhausted then to put tools away out in the garage. Just walking across the kitchen and out past the laundry room and into the garage was too much for me after I'd been up. So things just stacked up on these ample kitchen counters. And I've been working all week, shredding paper from the file cabinet and old tax papers, and trying to sort and organize and take things back out to the work area in the garage. And then I'll have to go out there. Of course, it's standing on concrete out there, which extra kills me pain-wise. And I'll have to sort and organize that in my drawers and different things, shelving and things out in the garage, my work area. So that all of my work materials and it's amazing, different types of screws and nails that you need for a massive remodeling project. Tiling supplies, paint supplies, drills and angle grinder. My little a reciprocating saw, oscillating saw, and all the different blades that go with those. I've been sorting those, getting them organized. And my jigsaw and those blades. Then I have to vacuum out, there's sawdust in some of the cases or cobwebs, or it's just a mess. And then I had to make some soup today. I had some dried split peas that had been in the pantry for a long time, and used those up with the store had some bacon ends on sale. Just chunks, I guess, that they make bacon out of and leftover. So I put that in it, but standing to do that, chopping the carrots, the onion, and the celery, and oh my goodness, it's just, and then I get nauseated from the pain, radiates from the lumbar. So, and I'm sorry I said that I have no enjoyment, because I know it's hard to understand. I have enjoyment in God. So as long as I see God in others, see God in this place, see God in these little creatures here, little Mercy's here, wanting attention, Lovey's there, looking out the window. You heard me say his name. And a squirrel taunted him this morning cruelly when we were out. He wanted to bolt and drag me with him. Lovey did, not the squirrel. And and see God in nature, everything he created, in thought. And I usually do see God. Inner, I'm talking, not outwardly see with my outer senses. But, and pray. And the world is filled with so much crud, though, that it's hard to sift and scrub away the crud, throw it out of our minds, so that we see God in situations, and in some people at least, who are trying to keep decency alive. But the family member was at a tournament, and I wanted to watch, so I had to sign up for this ESPN Plus, $12 a month. I signed up for monthly just so I could get on to see, and I couldn't find her and her partner in the quarterfinals. There were 4 different teams, so eight partners, sets of partners, not in it. That I thought, what has happened? Because always she's usually medals or is fourth. Third, second, and first get medals and pay. Fourth, they might sometimes get a little, but they don't get a medal. But she's always right up there, which is remarkable, because she gets a lot of persecution, ageism. She's one of the oldest players. Doesn't look it, but anyway, I thought, her hand from when we were doing all that work with she was doing it with the hammer drill. I didn't want her to ruin her elbow or her hand for this tournament coming up. It's her livelihood, her income. And her male partner, he's been off and on, but she got backstabbed. It's been over a year now, and duped by her partner, who she thought was her best friend, whatever. Not at all. Did something very evil and ugly. and caused her to have trouble getting lined up with good partners now. But she, has done a lot of good for younger ones who wouldn't get to play at that level. But something he didn't play. I found out he hadn't played well, and they lost. And I don't know. He's not as focused in between tournaments to drill and practice. I guess I don't know what it is, but at least I found out she's not injured or sick or something. But if you get there and you don't even advance after all the costs, but she plays tomorrow with her female partner. And last month they got gold, so I'm hoping and praying. But it's she didn't blame her partner at all. She's very good. Didn't blame. Said he didn't play well, but she said she didn't either play that well. Very windy, but people were using hot paddles. What's called hot paddles, and they're not to be used. They're illegal, but people were using them, and there's something they're made of something that caused the ball to hit a different way, very hard, and so it's not equal playing then. If some of them are bringing in these illicit paddles to use and no one's stopping them, they have a great advantage. And then some refs had made some bad calls and stuff. So things happen. She handles it well. Don't want to talk about it. Got this text. Don't want to talk about it. It's all fine. But of course it isn't. The crud of the world isn't fine. And we don't see God when people do things that are wrong, because God isn't there. They've shut God out. People who lie, people who cheat, people who do harm to others, steal their partner behind their back, don't tell them until the very end of a season when it's too late to find another partner who's at a top level, and spend the next year just scrambling to find any partners then, because the good ones are already set with someone. See, that was a dirty trick that this woman had played. But she moved on from it. And I think I struggle more. Moms die hard. It's tough being a mother. And I could be 100 years old and my kids in their 70s, and I would still have a hard time if anyone does them wrong. But I have trouble with the world, the ugliness and crud of the world. And I think we all do, all of us who follow Christ. Jesus didn't like the crud of the world and ugliness. He lived by truth, beauty, and goodness, and wants us to live that way. But not everyone believes in Jesus or follows him. Even if they put on their Facebook they're a believer, they don't say what in. Like this one person who did such nasty things puts there, believer. Well, believer in what and who? Self, perhaps, or something. I don't know. But we're in this world with one another in this time period. And that's why I'm fascinated by reading about these people from the past and just fathoming, taking in awe of how they lived in their time periods with the same basic issues, just different situations. That they had the same trials. They had crud in the world. They had people who were cheaters or unkind or backstabbing or wanting undue advantage or not keeping up their part of the partnership or something. They had workers who didn't do good jobs and but still, demanded their pay. And people with injuries, people with back trouble, people with illnesses and handicaps, disabilities of various types. And God was there for them in all kinds of ways. And they went through the same spiritual growth processes, just different situations. And they had times where they were tired. And in their spiritual progression, they came to a time where they found no enjoyment in the temporal. Only in God was their enjoyment. And they realized that was a good thing. But others maybe didn't and thought, oh, that's not good. That's a downer. That's negative. But in actuality, to find enjoyment in God is a big step toward heaven. It's a step toward spiritual detachment, toward holy indifference of the things of this world. And really today, other than the mom in me coming up, like, hot paddles, cheaters, that got me, that reminded me I'm still very much here and, still have detachment to work on, spiritual detachment, because the world is the world. And where there's going to be a way to cheat, we people will find it. Not all people, and that causes the unfairness. I just about texted, where can I find you a hot paddle? Mom's gonna buy not a diamond ring, that song, that Mockingbird song, Mama's gonna buy you a diamond ring. Mama's gonna buy you a hot paddle so you can, be at the same dirty, filthy, cheating level as these other people with their hot paddles. Of course, I didn't. And it was just a joke thought in my mind because we don't live like that in my family. We don't go down to the bottom with others who are at the bottom. Better to lose than to cheat. I don't know if at some point in time everybody is using the illegal paddles. Then maybe, if it becomes the norm. But that's like in, sometimes, well, in church law even, they have dropped some of the church laws because no one was following them. And that's been the same with holy days of obligation, which they wouldn't call them that, but holy days, where we're to go to Mass. Able-bodied people, anyway, well enough to go. Used to be John the Baptist's Day, June 24th. Everyone was to go to Mass, weekday or not. And others, and they changed them to Sundays. Like Ascension Thursday is now on Sunday. I guess they wanted to make it easier for people because people had stopped coming on Thursday. Extra, just the same people who would come any Thursday to a weekday mass. So they moved Ascension Thursday to a Sunday. And to go along with what people were doing. So the people were making the rule. Rule by habit. And I'm a believer in keep it on Thursday. It was meant to be, what is it, 10 days prior or 9 days prior to Pentecost? 9 days prior to Pentecost was Ascension. And I figure why make it on Sunday? Who comes on Thursday comes on Thursday. I'm a realist like that too. And keep it that way. Some people would make the extra effort. I'm a believer in the extra effort, that God notices our extra effort. God notices those who do the right thing. And we're always seeking God. I'm seeking God because He's my enjoyment. Anytime I recognize God, His essence, His love, His power, His might, His glory, His sensitivity, His caring, His creation, any aspect of God that I notice or sense or am reminded of brings me enjoyment. That's my enjoyment. That's what keeps me plugged in and upbeat within. I may feel like hell. In fact, I had to read off my long model number with letters in it of my pump, and the last one was an H. This was for my MRI scheduling. And I was giving, like P as in Paul and whatever, and it ended with an H. I said, as hell. H is in hell. Pain is hell. And the man laughed. He laughed. And I said, yeah. I said, I'm having one of those days. But then when he read it back, he used the proper word, hotel. H is in hotel. I said, oh, you switched it back to the correct alphabet, when I think in the military started that, using so that pilots and things could hear, or over radios, shortwave radios, they could hear the letters. So they'd call them by a name that was common with the letter H, would be hotel. So anyway, this is my little monologue. Call it my monologue. But Origen, I started to read about Origen. Mercy's scratching herself a little nest up here on the bed. And I was going to talk about him. He's a priest and theologian of the 2nd century. He was born around 185 and died 253. Priest and theologian. And there's pages and pages and pages to read. So I'm going to have to read it on my own and just summarize it. But I was going to share more about his life, but he's just done so much. So this is from a commentary on John's Gospel. And it happens to be connected with today's Gospel reading for Mass. But I want to read what his commentary is first. It's about seeking for Jesus. And that is my quest. The holy narrow pathway is what Jesus invited us to. Here's the narrow path. Take the narrow path. Narrow is the path, and few are they who are on it. So, but let's be on it and inspire as many others to be on the narrow path. I'm going to send that text to my daughter, maybe tomorrow morning or sometime. Because when she says she doesn't want to talk about it, she means it. So, but I want to give an uplift and a reminder that her using the regulation paddle that they're supposed to use is an honorable thing. Win or lose, that's the right thing, is to do right, to do as what is agreed upon in any given situation by the group or by the rules or the laws for various reasons. And because in that situation it makes it unfair to have these halp paddles, these illegal paddles being used. It's like taking drugs, performance enhancement drugs are outlawed in various sports. But people will still do it. And now, of course, we have the biological men saying they really think they're a woman, so they play in these girls' sports and have tremendous advantage. So here's this, though, what Origen says, is if we can seek Jesus and find him, he's the enjoyment. God is the enjoyment of life and of all aspects of it. He's the balm of life. He's the uplift. Talk about a Lenten uplift. Any uplift is God. Only through God do we have uplift. We wouldn't even be here without God. There'd be there's nothing without God. So he's the uplift, and to seek him and find him. But there's a little caveat here. To seek for Jesus is very often a good thing, since it means the same thing as seeking the word, the truth, and wisdom. But you are about to tell me that the words seeking Jesus are sometimes spoken concerning those who mean harm. For example, they tried to arrest him, but no one laid a hand on him because his hour had not yet come. That's from John 7:30. I know that you are descendants of Abraham, but you are trying to kill me because my word has no room in you. That's John 8:37. Jesus said that to someone. Now you are trying to kill me, a man who has told you the truth that I heard from my Father. Jesus said that in John 8:40. These words do not contradict that other saying, the one who seeks finds. It's Matthew 7:8. The fact remains that distinctions exist between those who seek Jesus. Not all are looking for him sincerely for the sake of their own salvation and to gain his help. Some people are looking for him for any number of reasons far removed from the good. That is why only those who have sought him in complete uprightness have found peace. Those of whom one can truthfully say that they have sought the Word who is with God, so that he can draw them to his Father. Those are the ones who have peace. Those we have enjoyment of God when we seek and find God in all good, all beauty, all truth, wisdom, honor. Lovey, come back here, honey. Lovey, come here, come here, come here. I'm going to take you out. Just wait, be patient, won't be long. He threatens to go away if he is not received, though. Jesus says this, I am going away and you will look for me. That's John 8:21. Jesus knows from whom he is withdrawing and with whom he remains without yet being found, so that if he is sought, he will be found at the favorable time. And he even says that, I will come at the favorable time. And that reminds me, the last time Jesus came to me was in September of 2012. And it was beautiful. And we had our marriage banquet even, but he did not want to consecrate the marriage. Not yet, or consummate the marriage. And he says, no, he had to go help other souls. But he would come back for me. I was to wait. I was to be strong. And he emphasized again, be strong. Because it's hard to wait for Jesus when he promises to come for you. It's been, 13 and a half years now. So, Lovey has to go out. But anyway, Jesus will come to us, though, in the proper time. He knows when. Not only just to take us with him, but to come to us to help us with our needs, if we need him more directly, or a word, or an uplift, or even if we're having trouble seeing God in others, Jesus will be there at the right time. And always in his word we can find him. Always in his word. So he knows best, though. And sometimes he wants us, he appreciates the seeking. He wants us to really, really seek. And so to have enjoyment, I have to seek him in all things. In people who are doing wrong things, I seek Jesus in them in some way, shape, or form. And I can find God in any number of all things when I put my heart to really seeking and waiting, then knowing he will show me himself in some of the most reprehensible things. There is still God, no matter how bad things may seem. For one thing, if he's in us, that can change a bad instance into a glory, just by the reality that God is in us, and all we have to do is look within. His love remains in us if we remain in him. We seek him within ourselves. He's always with us. And then as far as seeing God in all else, yes, that can be a challenge sometimes. We grow into that and understanding, viewing in a different way, and seeing souls as God sees souls. Not so much in these temporal things does God see. But God knows. He knows when we're doing right or wrong, all of us. And he does not like wrongdoing at all. And that's why we don't like it. If God is in us, we're not going to like what God isn't appreciating or finds reprehensible too. But through forgiveness, through love, through prayer, we get through, and we find enjoyment in God. And God is in all around. Anything living, anything he created, and anything that of us that he created us, that we have the capability of doing or creating. So God bless his real presence in us. I want to read that scripture, but I need to get this big guy out. He's got to go. Love to you all. Enjoy God. Enjoy God.